Okay, great.
Okay, got it? Perfect.
Huh.
All right, to start off, could you give me a general overview of your past, how you got into 3D arts, and your education and any work history?
Yeah, so my name is Xavier Albert. I go with the nickname Wonder Boy, and I've been a 3D artist for like I would say the last 6 years, really solid. But my journey actually started when I was 12. Like you know the game Half-Life, right?
Sorry?
You know the game Half-Life, right?
Yes, yeah.
So when this game released, um, I got my computer very early because my dad, after the Navy, opened a computer shop when he was retirement from the Navy. And I had my first computer really at an early age. And when Half-Life went out, I discovered the mapping and the modding community.
Mm.
And it was so great. And I actually started working on Half-Life maps when I was like 12 and 13. And I really loved it. I really loved like just creating levels. And then like I think it was like 2 or 3 years later, there was like Counter-Strike that went out,
Mm.
and it was amazing. It was so fun, and I was creating maps for Counter-Strike and developing like a community and working with friends online, starting to make contacts. And since everything was in English, I was actually like loving to learn English at school,
Yeah.
and I was just contacting English people and forming teams and stuff. Yeah, so I started really early. After that, I did a big break for almost 15 years because there were studies and then life issues and then stuff like that. And I went also myself in the army for 4 years. Um, I didn't like it too much. It was too directed for me.
Mm.
I didn't have my free spirit
Yeah.
anymore, and I decided to quit after 4 years and get back to like art studies. So I basically did 3 years design school,
Mhm.
which got me like super ambitious, and I actually wanted to do bigger than interior design. So I actually wanted to be an architect at this time. So after three years of design school, I applied at architecture schools. And it actually took me in second year in one of the school in Toulouse School of Architecture in France. And yeah, and I pursued architecture for 2 more years and got like a bachelor. But it was not really a super creative job. The super
Mm.
creative job I was expecting, I was dreaming of, was more like administrative thing and 5% creativity.
Yeah.
So yeah, it got me disillusioned. I don't know
Mm.
if you say it. And
Disillusion, yeah.
and yeah, and I finished and I finished ending the school at the bachelor. I didn't go on to the master, but it motivated me to open my first company in France and actually wanting to learn
Mm.
more about 3D, about interior design 3D, like RGs, how we call it right now. And so yeah, I pursued that branch after
Mm.
that.
For me, growing up with my grandparents, my grandfather had his own desktop that he built, um, and that's where I first started adventuring into video games. I think I was a really big Lego kid, and then I got into Minecraft when that was getting really popular.
I
Um,
fucking love Lego. Like I was asking Legos every fucking Christmas, man.
yeah. Oh yeah, me too. Yeah. And I got into like the modding of Minecraft too. Um, and then my later years was Grand Theft Auto 5 with my friends on
Yeah,
PS4. That was that was
it
my
was
junior
fun, man.
high. Yeah, yeah,
Multiplayer
um,
was super fun.
yeah. And now I'm in my college program as well. for the game art and animation. Almost done my first year now.
And
So you
and you're
mentioned that
gonna
you
be ready.
intended. Sorry?
You're gonna be ready to release a game
Yes,
soon.
soon, hopefully. Yeah. Um, yeah, working on my own indie horror game that will hopefully be released this coming fall. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, wish you
Yeah,
the best, man.
yeah, thank you. So you mentioned you attended for architecture, architecture program, um, but it wasn't really creative enough for you. Um, would you recommend that someone else go into a similar program or more 3D arts oriented or
Oh yeah, absolutely. I still love architecture. This is one of my favorite domains in life. Like I don't actively build my cultures anymore on it. I don't actually like work in architecture anymore. But yeah, the school was super interesting. The
mm,
architecture culture is something like huge, man.
yeah.
And it actually teach you the one of the most important things in 3D and in drawing and in 2D, which is scale, like
Yeah.
scale, designing spaces for human, light, like the most basic principles of architecture are scale and
Mm,
lighting. So yeah, that's still a great things to do. That's still a great thing, a great skill to have, and yeah, it can help you a lot. Like depending on what you want to do later, um, of course, architecture can build you a lot of good skills.
mm,
Like for example, like, if we see the Assassin's Creed games,
mm.
I read a lot on that because I wrote my bachelor how you call that, the book, the memoir.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, like your final, your
Yeah,
yeah.
I wrote it on the link between architecture and video games.
Mm,
Um, because in my mind, I was already off. I was already off the architecture job. I was like, okay, I'm gonna build my 3D career now and video
mm,
games later. Um, and I did a lot of research to write this final. And I saw many articles on the already the Assassin's Creed games. Like they hired some
mm,
history teachers. They hired some architects that were specialized in like historical buildings in Italy and stuff like that.
mm.
And it was great. So yeah, of course, this is a great skill to have.
Yeah.
But of course, if you go right now, it's like to be a game design and you can access a school. Yeah, you can also go for it. Um, like I would always think that we have time in life, so don't get too fast.
Mm,
Enjoy your like your chilled. I was going to say chillhood, but I guess it's more like a teenagehood. I don't
mm,
know if you say it in English. Yeah, enjoy your teenager life. Enjoy your student life because the school is something particular that we don't find anymore after that.
mm,
So yeah, many schools, many diploma, many skills you learn can be like stacking. You know, the more you have, the more you get
mm,
to serious things later. Like you can have more skills and more knowledge than someone else
mm,
if you go to many schools. Um, I have no really prioritized advice. Like if you want to go straight working, it's also amazing.
mm,
You build skills very much faster, and maybe you can learn architecture on your own or
mm.
video games on your own. It's okay.
Um, so you're in terms of your art, you're more leaning towards environments, arts and props, that kind of stuff.
So it's been the case for the last yes, the last 6 years approximately. I would say environment and also cinematics because
Mm,
I've been working on a lot of cinematics for like NFT projects, crypto projects. real projects like airports and like the train builders, Alstom, and they would always need some camera and cinematics and animations of the trains. So I would say environments and cinematic, yes. This is very complementary, by the way. Because when you animate the cameras in the spaces, you need to have like notions of how you move in the rooms, the scale you want to show in the buildings, in the characters and stuff like that.
And you think your architecture program influenced that decision to go more into environments, or was that always your your interest?
Honestly, it has always been my interest because like we talked just 5 minutes ago, I started in level design, like in mapping for Counter-Strike, and I actually loved doing the environments and like tasting it. You know that this time when you click on the play button on the editor, you actually go into FPS and then you try what you did, and you're like, oh, this thing is too big, or this one is too narrow. I need to make it bigger, and oh, this one the lighting is not good. I need to rework that. And yeah, I actually love doing environments. It's been like a really big thing. I would do a lot of watercolor and drawing when I was in high school, and I would actually draw a lot of environments too. So yeah, it's been always like in me, I guess.
Yeah, I entirely understand. I feel the same way about being able to build your own world and then explore it and feel like you're in it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing when you see it like taking shape and really working good.
Yeah. You mentioned about just your interests in the past with video games and stuff. Is there anything else that's inspired you to go into 3D art as a career?
Um, Probably movies. When I was young, I would watch a lot of sci-fi, like the first Blade Runner, Alien, Predator, all this culture we have not, which we call the pop culture sometimes, but mostly sci-fi stuff. And some of those movies did have a lot of bad 3D, but some had great 3D. Like for example, Jurassic Park, the first one, like 1996, I think. Some shots were fucking amazing. Like you, of course, now right now if you analyze it, you can tell, but at the time it was like super nice done, super nicely done, and it's actually better than some movies right now, which is super impressive. But I always would be more attracted by video games because when I was doing my maps and my level design when I was like 13 in Counter-Strike, I would dream of doing my game later. And it's been I have a lot of ideas about doing a game like in the last 5 years. So it's something I really keep for when I can actually start doing a studio and maybe hiring some programmers and stuff like that.
Yeah. As I mentioned before, with living with my grandparents, my grandfather used to do 3D art as a hobby. He used a
Your
soft,
grandfather?
yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. How old is he?
He's in his late 60s now, early 70s.
Oh, okay, he's super young.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he used a software called Lightwave for 3D modeling.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and he first got me started using Blender because it was free. Lightwave wasn't. And Blender was a bit more intuitive, a bit easier to learn. And I just took off from there. First started using Blender. Um, Started reading about Maya being more the industry standard. Started learning Maya and then Photoshop and Substance and Unreal Engine. Just took off from there.
Yeah, those are great tools. Like, of course, some of them are a bit more difficult to learn, but like when you pass this hard or steep to learn, and then you start to understand every tools in every software, because there is a step when you start understanding tools, even if you never open the software. And this is great. So yeah, it's stacking skills.
Autodesk can definitely be a bit obtuse sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned before that you're not a big Unreal Engine fan.
Yeah. So yeah, we actually didn't start talking about that, but yeah, we can start. We can talk about that. Like, I actually been working 6 years with Unreal when my art is in Blender. That's funny. Like, yeah, Unreal is great tool. Is a great tool. It's evolving fast and it's leading towards many new domains like design and architecture and like cinematography, especially the last like 3 years. So yeah, it's a great tool that is super wide, but I actually never found it like super intuitive or super easy to use. Like super, I enjoy using it because it would always crash. It would always take so much time to load assets, like competing shaders all the time. It will be hard to solve issues in Unreal. That's the main point I don't like it. Like in Blender, for example, when the light is not working well or when there is a bug, a visual bug, you can really in a fast way find where it comes from. And if there is one tick that isn't checked, then you know it's from there. But in Unreal, I would spend hours and hours looking for why is this flickering? Why is this light not on? And sometimes it's just graphic bugs and you don't know how to solve it and you have to start from scratch. And it's very infuriating sometimes. Unreal, yes.
Oh yeah, I entirely understand. Yeah. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Unreal Engine.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of the reasons why I still postpone my dream of making a game, because like I'm not really ready to fully put all my time into Unreal again. Like I would more like to focus on the creating the 3D assets in Blender and the environments and that's it. I would love to hire someone to help me on Unreal and take that part for me.
Take away that headache. Yeah. Okay. Next question. You mentioned about just your childhood of getting into the modding and stuff again. But was there any defining moments that led to you to where you are now? That you like that stick out to you?
Yeah, definitely. Like every job I tried and I didn't like, because as a young people, of course, you follow, and especially, of course, I'm 34, so when I was young, YouTube was just starting. There was nothing on it, and there was no like videos to help you understand society and where to go, what to do, who to listen to. So of course, when you're young, you're just starting, and you want to listen to your parents or your close friends, and of course they are from other generations, and the only things they know. Okay, I don't say everyone, because of course there is entrepreneurs and other kind of more free mind persons, but like older generations are mostly like, okay, you have to work all your life very hard, find a job, work in it very hard until you're 70, and then retire, and then you can enjoy your life for the last 10 years of your having health and being alive. So yes, it's been a bit hard to start. I've been trying to be in the army for 4 years. Then after that, I've been trying to find a job in like agencies and stuff like that. But actually, during the studies, I would never stop working. Like for example, I would work on weekends in a supermarket to do a bit of money and pay the school. I would work during my holidays, and all of that built on like a kind of rejection in me for like full-time jobs and having a boss. and working for someone, basically. I would always want to be free and work on my stuff and just be free in the time and location, you know. Like if I'm tired, why I have to force myself going to work today? Like, or if I want to do this, why I'm doing that today in this supermarket? So yeah, it would be pretty hard. In the army too, it was hard because I would of course have to follow the orders and do stupid shit sometimes for stupid bosses. And all of this built in me like this rejection of like full-time jobs and contracts. And that's why right now I'm like working on full freelance. It's actually starting to do it again with freelance right now. Like I worked with very, very demanding and like annoying clients in the last 5 years. And it makes me want to have my full business like managed on myself. Like for example, a YouTube channel, like creating a tutorial, coaching. I did a lot of coaching and I actually loved it. I did it in I put it in break this years, but I actually been a teacher online for 5 years. So every time I would be in school, like in design school or architecture school, I would at the same time be on a coaching platform online for students, and I would teach like Photoshop, Blender, design, architecture, and I would actually loved it. So I want to get back to it. I would say photography too. Like I during my travels, I traveled a lot, quite a lot. Went to Korea, went to like Ukraine, to Chernobyl, Vietnam. In the last 3 years, I went many times to Peru, in America Latina, and all my travels would inspire me so much. And every time I would see some kind of nice neighborhood or nice building there and there with different styles, I would in my mind want to do it in 3D. I would actually want to do it in Unreal because of the VR and making it interactive and being able to explore it as a FPS or as a VR game. So yeah, I would say travel inspired me so much.
I understand. I quite often catch myself. I'll look at something and I'll start thinking of how I'd model it. Just subconsciously now, I'll just see, okay, I do like that. And yeah. And the same thing with buildings and stuff is I'd love to design them and put them together and level and stuff like that. Yeah.
Did you ever try like to do photogrammetry of objects?
I've done a little bit of it in my course, just very briefly using substance, whatever the substance one is for photogrammetry. I made a little.
Yes.
It works. It's very slow to make. I made one of a little potted cactus that I had just on my desk. And I took like 50 photos of it from different angles, and the software put it together. It probably took like 15 minutes for it to process. And there was some geometry issues of invisible geometry and stuff like that, but it'd be a good tool if like you had more time to really focus on it and stuff. We were just very quickly going over it.
Yeah, it's actually a very specific domain. Like
Yeah.
if you start it, you have to actually learn.
Yeah.
The learning curve is a bit hard in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's also, as you said, a very long and tedious process. Like taking photos is sometimes you have to take like 500, 1,000 pictures of something,
thousands of photos. Yeah.
And you finish with a back hurting because you have to take all the angles from the floor to the top, and
Yeah.
you have to really be consistent with the position and everything. And
Make
I actually love
lighting.
photogrammetry. I did a lot, and yeah, I never pushed it too hard because I always been super interested in so many different things. But yeah, photogrammetry is actually a great thing because it also takes you out of the computer. So
Yes.
it's probably good for health and mental to be out and taking pictures of something. Like I would say, nature, like taking rocks and stuff like that, is way more easy than trying to scan objects, like trying to scan it on all angles, because you actually have to return it and then you have to join the mesh points and everything. Or if you're outside just taking a rock, it's also bigger and your movement are like you need less photos, and it's way easier in the nature.
100%, yeah. So to kind of switch gears here again, where was your first job in the industry, and what was it like there? What was your experiences?
Um, I'll check my Artstation, but yeah, as we talked last time, it was so my first job was actually in a cinema studio in Paris.
Mm.
Like I live in the south, and one day there is this guy contacting me. He was the boss of Mado XR, which is a virtual production company.
Mm.
And he told me, "Oh, I love your Mars short film you did, and we absolutely need someone on stage to help us with the environment and setting up Unreal." And I was scared because I never worked in a cinema studio, and I actually never worked with a big team on Unreal and like with all the cameras connected, the virtual production stuff. So I told them, I don't know if I'm your man. Like this is things I never did, and he said, "Oh, but you look like really talented, and maybe you can come for free. We pay you the transport, and you come as an internship." So I accepted, and I went to Paris, and I ended working 3 weeks for them, and the whole project was a success. So it was one of the first like real-time presentation in virtual production in France. So they were using this huge cavelet, the first one I ever seen, and I was like super impressed. And yeah, for 3 weeks I would help them with environments. I would actually do animation in the sequencer in Unreal based on the lights, on the lights and everything they would do in real time. And yeah, that was a great job. It was very, very demanding. It taught me that Paris and I guess every big city like New York, Los Angeles, they are like they never sleep, and all this huge energy flowing around you is like never stopping, and if you need to stop, then you're gonna be left out. That's what I felt like. It was super intense and super interesting, and like super you learn a lot actually. Like I learned more in 3 weeks than in 6 months in my room doing 3D. Like, but yeah, it's not for everyone. You really have to take the energy flowing and all the effort, because it never stop. You work like 15 hours a day and then like 7 days a week sometimes. But yeah, that was my first job, and it was great, and it actually opened me a lot of doors in the online job propositions. When I posted that Mado XR production we did, I got a lot of new jobs in virtual productions. Oh yeah, it was really a good experience.
They always say that it's getting the first job is the hardest, and then once you get that first job, it makes everything a lot easier to get your next
Yeah,
one.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Even if you especially if you can show it in an interesting way, because
Yes. Yeah.
on all those platforms like ArtStation and Mode and Upwork and many others, you can post pictures, but there is ways to make it more interesting. So yeah, you really have to put the effort and post some quality work if you want the job. Yeah, that's actually super helping. If you post a nice job, you most likely increase your chances by 70% to be contacted and to have more jobs later.
Yeah. Do you plan on, away from the questions, but do you plan on staying in France?
Uh, That's the that's a hard one for me because I love traveling and I actually never really wanted to stay here.
Mm.
Like especially in my region, it's beautiful, but in the summer it gets so crowded with tourists that
Mm.
like it's it and the heat also the heat. Like we've been seeing here the heating, the global warming,
Mm.
like so bad. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. It was like 48 degrees Celsius
Jesus.
for like 1 week.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
I'm not joking. It was like 48 for a few days, and even in the night it would be so hot, and we don't have aircon here.
Yeah.
Of course, it's been a bit hard.
Over here,
And
yeah.
no, I was like, I love Japan, and I always dreamed to be there, to live there a few months, but it's too hard for like foreigners to be freelance in Japan. So
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about Europe or maybe northern countries. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think I will stay all my life in France.
You could come to Canada and come to Quebec and feel more at home with
Yeah,
the French province.
I actually wanted to do that, but I saw you guys have like 60% taxes or something like
Yes.
that. And I was like, I want to quit France because we have like 50% or 45% taxes.
Hmm.
And yeah, if I quit France, it's not to get bigger taxes, you know.
Have
And
you
you?
said before when we talked last that you've been to Quebec?
No, I went to Montreal.
Montreal, yeah.
I actually loved it. I really, really loved it.
Hmm.
I plan to coming back for a few months. I would like.
Hmm.
Um, yes, I plan to visit Quebec too. Everybody told me it's a beautiful city.
It's a very beautiful city. I have to ask, when you were in Montreal and you were speaking French, did you notice the Quebecois accent difference? Was it like hard to speak or?
Um, I actually, yes, I heard it, of course, but like, I mean, some people were more difficult to understand than others.
Hmm.
I think it's mostly the expressions with the words, that words we don't know in France, which made it hard.
Hmm.
But yeah, the accent is so lovely. This is a wow thing.
Okay.
And what I actually loved in Montreal is that you can, like, people talk also English.
Yes, yeah.
It's a bit like being in a big town in France, and with a lot of people talking English.
Mhm.
This is so cool.
Yeah. My I'm a quarter French Canadian. My grandfather that I mentioned before, he's from Quebec, born and raised in Quebec. And he's always told me about how much it's you can't understand each other and you don't like the Quebec people don't like Parisian people and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, they don't because of the language or
Language
because of the accent.
differences. And when he's been to France when he was younger with his parents that are very French, um, they were treated very rudely by the French people in France because they didn't sound like real French
Oh, okay.
and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So
So
it's
just
cultural, historical things.
yeah. So just wondering like how much of a difference if you noticed any
Yeah,
accent difference.
not too much honestly, because like Montreal has a lot of foreigners. Like I saw a lot of Indians, Chinese, and
Hmm.
like the whole city is like just like there is not only like
Hmm.
Quebecois. And those Quebecois actually talks English for the most of them. So I didn't see too much like huge difference. I felt more like I was in a United States
Hmm.
city. Because just before the year before the going to Montreal, I went to San Francisco
Hmm.
in United States for the first time in my life, and I actually loved it too.
Hmm.
And I found that vibe in Montreal, like
Hmm.
the American city with the
Yeah.
huge streets and stuff, which I really liked. So yeah, I
Montreal's
wouldn't mind.
yeah, it's a very young city. It's very vibrant and yeah. Next question. What advice would you give to an artist trying to get their first position in the industry?
I would say give your 1000%. Like you start, you're young, you have great energy, you're eager to learn, and I would say go 1000%. Don't be lazy. Don't stop when you did the task they asked you. Like if you work on something that really interests you, just go 1000%. Work hard to develop it. Work hard to learn a lot about that. Don't be shy. Don't stay in your corner. Go to people. Talk to people. Ask a lot of questions. Be super curious. This is super important. I would say be strong because sometimes it's not easy, even when you're young, because people can give you a lot of tasks to get themselves a bit lighter. And sometimes you might feel like a bit like I don't know, a slave, or like they give you things to piss you off, but it's mostly not the case. And this is how you learned. This is how you learn fast. So be strong on that. I would say follow your guts. If you feel this is not your place, if you feel you're attracted by some other job, or someone like really not resonate with you, then take your distance and follow what your gut says if you need to change. Work on your free days, on yourself, on your personal stuff, because when you have a job, you don't have time for yourself. You don't have time to really work on this universe in your head that is really yourself. So yeah, be strong on your free days too, because it can be hard when you're tired to work on your stuff. But you have to do it. You have to work at least 1 hour, 2 hours if you can. So you actually use what you have in mind.
Definitely paying your dues when you get that first position. When you're working on personal projects, what is your general workflow, such as any softwares or processes or thought patterns, things like that?
It's a good one. It really depends, because my favorite software, like we talk, is Blender, but I've been working with Unreal Engine since the last 6 years. And Unreal is so different in terms of workflow, because it's real time, because the assets are always loading. You have to compile the shaders. It's absolutely not like cycles or any ray traced render. We worked a lot with like it's called Perforce. It's a connected software for synchronizing every file in Unreal, so everybody can work on it on the project at the same time. So you have to think about what you touch, so it doesn't. So if someone else needs it, you don't block him. You don't modify things that people worked on before you. And then at the end of the day, you have to push in the server everything you did, everything you modified. So it's a very, very totally different workflow. I would say when I create the scene, however, there is a workflow a bit in common with any other 3D file or 3D software I can use, because if you do environments, you always have these 5 steps, like block out, looking like, of course, first step is like mood board. If you're directing the environment you create, then you have to do it from scratch, and then you have to find references. So first step is the mood board and finding great references that serves your project. Then the second step is blocking out the environment with simple blocks, making sure the scale is right and everything. Like third step is probably lighting and starting the materials. So yeah, these are the workflow that is in common with any 3D scenes.
Would you say that differs much from professional work you've done before?
It depends. Like every project I did is pretty much different. For example, the working on a scene for 2 months with the connected synchronicity in Perforce with the team and doing meetings on Google Meet every like Tuesday and Thursday is so much different than going on a cinema studio and being there for 2 weeks and just work with the team right there on space. So yeah, I don't know if it answers your question.
Well, I understand. It's like every major project has its differences and how you do things, and it's when it comes to professional stuff, you have very little decision making. It's whoever's over top of you decides. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on your position also, the position you have in this job, if you are like a junior
yeah.
or a senior or like a lead. I've been a lead environment on a sci-fi movie, short movie that's gonna go out soon. And I was actually alone. Like all the environments were sent by people who did them like 2 years before me. And I would have to adapt everything and I was actually alone as an environment like lead. But and then it can be very different than working on a game, which is a big team and you have every guy with you. And I don't even know how they synchronize the files. I don't think it's Perforce. Like this is very different.
100%, yeah. So we've mentioned a few softwares already that you tend to gravitate towards: Blender, your um, use of Unreal Engine when you have to. Is there any other major softwares that you've found very useful?
Photoshop, of course, like all the time for tweaking textures, changing the like the tint, things like that. I bought 3D Code, and since there is a lack of tutorials, I actually never really digged into it. I did a few, but then I put it on the side. And it's sad because it's an amazing software, super powerful. I used the Bit Substance Painter when like 3 years ago. It was great. I feel like the last change they did are so amazing. But right now, I feel like you can do like the same quality in Blender with cycles and learning to make procedural materials. But of course, with that, you can't really have this quality if you want to use it as a game asset or as an engine asset. So yeah, you have to see what kind of job, what kind of work you want with that, because there is so many software you can learn. Yeah, for me, it's Blender, Photoshop, and Unreal.
We will be touching in my program on Substance next year. I already have quite a lot of just self-taught experience using it. So I've used it a few times for some school projects, but we've also done a lot of procedural stuff in Blender as well, learning how to make interesting procedural textures. But like you mentioned, the downside is you can't really export it. It has to be in Blender. Yeah.
I think there is powerful add-ons that went out recently to bake textures or to bake on the vertex colors. But yeah, it's also you always need to tweak things, and it's never gonna be perfect, I guess.
What is your favorite personal project you've worked on?
Honestly, it's the I think it's the one I'm actually working on. It's been a few months. I actively developed my universe I have in mind since a few years. So I guess I actually enjoy so much the freedom and just like blocking some time and and trying to take ideas from your mind and materializing it in concepts and then in 3D and then in like a whole universe that everything is connected. And all this process, I enjoy the process, you know. Like sometimes you just like the end visuals you did, but for this, for developing my universe and actually materializing it, I really love the whole project. If I had to choose with one project I did before, the short movie I mentioned that I can't show right now, it's not really finished yet. It was really great because the designer was Nivan Chantara, which is a French. I think he lives in Montreal, and he's from south of France, so that's great. He's one of the best sci-fi concept artists, and the whole project was amazing to create. We had a lot of issues in Unreal, but
is that on your Artstation?
No, it's not like released yet. It's gonna release
okay.
soon. But yes, we've been working on it for like 1 year and a half, and then it was blocked for another 1 year and a half because of a lawyer issue. But yeah, it's gonna release soon. So this one was great. I enjoyed really much the challenge, working on the challenge for Punisher. You know, his channel Clinton Jones. He did those 3D challenge with every time like 3,000 people participating, and he does this huge montage in the end with every 5-second scene like stacking. And I participated in 2 challenges. So the Infinite Journey challenge, which I did a Half-Life scene. I really enjoyed it because I love the Half-Life universe. And recently, it was in February, I did the last one, the Eternal Ascent challenge, and I did a scene based on the Silo. I don't know if you saw the TV show on Apple TV.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it though.
And I basically redone the Silo in a modular way in Blender, and I got inspired by the opening of the TV show, which is super cool in terms of visuals and architecture, and you saw all those little people moving like a time lapse. And I tried to redo it in a way, and I actually loved it. So I'm working right now on a breakdown for YouTube, like a long breakdown. I posted a little short of 1 minute on a few cut of how I did it. But yeah, it was my favorite project. These 3 projects.
And which of those would you say is the most difficult? That like took the most frustration or learned the most?
I would say probably the Alstom project you can see on my Artstation, because it was a project on many months. Like I was hired to assist the team for like 4 months, I think, in the summer, and it would need a lot of job, a lot of work, like every day, and we would work on a whole city in Unreal, and the performances were terrible because the train which came from the engineers of Alstom were like super high polygon CAD files with like, I don't know, 10 million polygon for each train. And even using the night was super difficult because in Unreal, if you import a 10 million polygon asset, like X20, because there was many trains. So the scene is so slow, and every time you open Unreal, it takes like 20 minutes. So yeah, that was super hard to work on this project because there was too many issues. We would try to do some 4K renderings and it would crash every time. So we had to, I don't know, we had to find a way, because other than that, like we had some Houdini artists who did the city building procedurally. So every building was different, and it would be super heavy to load too because it was connected with the Houdini plugins. yeah, it was super difficult to work on this one. Super frustrating.
I'm looking at it here, and the background hills is the one you're talking about, the train.
Which one?
The hills in the background, the mountains. That's the one with
Yeah,
the
yeah, the
super high
one with
resolution.
the train.
Yeah.
Yeah, the those, every train you see has super high resolution, like super high the polygons.
Mm.
And we try to use nanite and everything, but it's not like magical. Like
No, it can only do so much.
yeah, it's I love when you check the the Unreal state of art presentation and they say, oh, it's so easy in 3 clicks you do everything and you're like 100 FPS. And this is all lie, man. This is all like
Yeah.
mold.
It's a powerful tool, but they do definitely over exaggerate what it can do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, it was still a good project, very professional, very. In the end, it was good looking.
It looks very
There
good.
is shots I enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
Like I was in control of the city, like with a few other artists, and it was actually a lot of like responsibilities and power to make things great.
Mhm. Was this
And
all with Lumen as well?
yep,
Yeah.
it's all Lumen and Nanite. But the company I worked with for this one, which is so when hired me on many projects, and I love them. They are so nice and so gentle, so respectful in terms of boss and like respectful in terms of employees.
Mm.
And I love them. It's actually one of the last company I want to work with that I know. And yeah, I enjoy helping them on project every time they ask because they're really nice.
That's nice.
This is also very important. Like we didn't talk much in the last questions, but yeah, there is actually companies that makes you crazy. There is company that makes you really loved
Yeah.
and feel understood and supported.
Mm.
So it's an important thing when you find a job.
Yeah. Um, have you struggled much with artistic burnout? And if so, how have you how'd
Oh
you cope with it?
hell yeah, hell yeah. So yeah, I've been suffering from depressions
Mm.
almost all my life since I was 14. Um, and I recently, 2 years ago, understood that those depressions come from two things. Um, comes from either putting too much energy for a long term on something and not resting enough, and it comes from the other side, which is more like mental, which is like the imposter syndrome and
Mm.
not being able to realize what you have in mind, and probably being like afraid of the judgment of other people, other artists, and something which I call the skill gap. Like for example, you have a scene in mind, but you don't know how to do it because you don't have the skills. You don't have the sculpting skills. You don't have the materials skill. You don't know how to do the realistic look. So yeah, I would be like burnt out and depressed many times, like in the last 15 years, especially after a huge project to work on for like 4 to 5 months, especially after my architecture studies, which were super difficult, and I was working every weekend and holidays, never resting.
Mm.
So yeah, I took a private life coach in 2021, and this guy was great, and he opened my eyes on many things, like the energy I put in something that I have to get back
Mm.
with resting that I was never doing. Um, like giving yourself um, the possibility to rest and to stop a bit without feeling guilty. This is a huge one too. So yeah, I know a lot about burnout
Mm.
and depression. I actually last year wrote a little ebook on it, which is around 50 pages, and I really hope this ebook is gonna help a few people there. Um, so yeah, that's a thing I really enjoy working on, the
Mm.
psychology side. and I'm really trying to understand so I can get better at it.
Mm.
So yeah, that's it.
Is that book in French or English?
I actually did it everything in English.
Mm.
And just to know, like alongside with the book, I worked on a Notion template because I worked a lot with the Notion app for organizing all my IDs and all my habits and everything that is super important for work and for professional and personal sides. And yeah, it's something like I think can really help people and artists.
Yeah. Organization is definitely key to helping keep things stable. And
Yeah,
I have monthly and weekly and daily planners for stuff. And
yeah. This is a no-go. You need that if you want clarity and if you want to be consistent.
yeah. You mentioned a bit already, but if you struggled much with imposter syndrome over your career?
Yeah, so it depends on the project I did, and it's mostly on like personal projects I suffer on because I have too much to do. I mean, I have big pictures of things in my head, and those things need so many skills. Like if you want, for example, to do a short movie, you need to understand like people, characters, and if you want to create your own characters, this is also a whole thing.
Yeah.
And then there is rigging and animation.
Mm.
And then like if you just start with doing only to do props and like environments, then you have so many things to learn, and this can get you really stuck and paralyzed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely that's something I've learned with trying to make my own game is how do I make a game with as little characters as possible? Because I'm not a character artist. I have basically no experience creating characters. Um, so I did have to sculpt one character for my game, and that took. I tried to spend like a solid like 6 hours of just learning how to properly sculpt things with it, and yeah, it's definitely it's a
Yeah,
whole nother specialty.
that's one thing that can make you succeed. However, like to take out things and reduce the scope of what
Yeah.
you do. For example, if you don't know how to do realistic things, then you can do low poly.
Mm.
It's gonna save you so much time, and there is actually amazing stuff in low poly.
Yeah.
So it can be one way, one solution.
Mm. 100%, yeah. Um, do you have any resources that you found useful for your arts, whether it be online or books or anything like that?
Um, I actually have a lot. I'm gonna send you the list so you can share it. Yeah, mostly the all the inspiration website, Artstation, Pinterest. There is a trap to avoid because sometimes those sites are like endless scrolling, so you really have to focus on. Okay, I want 10 inspiration, not more.
Mm.
Because every time you're gonna open one tab in Google, then they're gonna be like 1,000 more images.
Yeah.
So, but there is actually a good thing to find in this website, which is motivation
Mm.
and inspiration. Um, I don't know exactly what else right now I use like a Shotdeck if you do some short movies,
Mm.
because Shotdeck is okay, now it's not free anymore. It was free in the beginning, but it gives you access to like a cinematography database, like screenshots, and it's analyzed. Like you have access to the data, like the focal length, the lighting, who directed the scene and everything. And there
Mm.
is actually a lot of good info for colors reference and color theory
Yeah.
and framing and like how to film a scene.
There's
Um,
couple other websites like that that I've used. I can't think of what they're called right now, but very much same thing of like it takes shots from movies and picks apart the lighting and the colors and why they look this way and why they work this way and stuff like that. Yeah, very good for getting inspiration or reference for how you want to light things.
yeah, I actually have a lot of address saved in my Notion template. Like to to an alternative to Shotdeck, like for free. You have FilmGrab, Stills from Beautiful, Film AI, Shot Cafe. Yeah, there is actually a lot. Oh yeah, one website I use also is Unsplash. Unsplash is a photography reference, so you can have everything. You can download like CC0 photography that you can use as a background or to model scenes and props. For texture, I use Texture Ninja, which is CC0. There is not much, but it still can be super useful.
I've used a lot of YouTube. Obviously, YouTube is an amazing resource.
Yeah.
I've also used ArtStation Learning. I found some very
Oh yeah.
useful tutorials with them as well.
Yeah, in terms of tutorials, yes, Artstation, there is Flip Normals, which has amazing tutorials. Wing Fox, there is a Gumroad also, a lot of artist sales on Gumroad. Blender Market.
I learned pretty much everything on how to use Substance Painter just from ArtStation Learning. It was,
yeah, and the free tutorials are actually great.
Yeah.
Because I think when Epic bought ArtStation, they put it for free, the ArtStation Learning.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any other art forms that you enjoy doing or are trained for outside of digital 3D?
Yeah, absolutely. Biggest is photography. I traveled a lot, and every time I would love enjoy photography. Every time I arrive in a new place, I have this kind of like totally excited mood. Like when I arrived in Montreal, I think it was one of the best mood I had in my life. Like I actually quit. I went from Peru just before arriving to Montreal, and I was super stressed because over there the sound is super stressing in the city. Like they don't have sound insulation in the building and everything. Like and the car honks and the traffic jam is terrible in Lima. And I arrived in Montreal and it was more like a oh my god, like skyscrapers and like super amazing concrete buildings. Like that is really like more architecture from the modern area. And yeah, I was so excited and I did a lot of photography and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, photography for sure. I love to draw. I draw so less than when I was young. I actually try to these days to go back to it. I'm a bit rusty. But yeah, drawing, watercolor. I love watercolor, I love painting. I don't do often, but yes, there would be a period in my life which I put all my mind into it and it would help me to relax. So yeah, those like drawing, watercolor and photography mostly.
Yeah, I feel the same way when it comes to drawing of just you don't really have the time for it anymore. Is as an artist you want to do as much as you can, but you just don't have enough hours in the day to
Yeah,
split out.
when you try to draw, you're like, shit, what am I gonna draw?
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, characters. Shit, I'm not good at characters. I need to do the face. I need to learn again. Yeah, it can be like super intimidating.
I used to do a lot of clay modeling, clay sculpting.
Oh yeah, that's amazing too.
And it's been a long time since I've done it now. I just don't have the time or the space to like properly set it up because it takes time to set up and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a thing when I was in high school, like the clay modeling. I was doing it a bit. And what I actually find funny is that right now I see a lot of artists trying, like, starting to post like sculpted face in Blender with like this clay texture.
Yeah.
And it looks like so beautiful, and that's so amazing. But yeah, I think traditional mediums are really coming back, and it's a great thing.
Do you have any other advice or tips for artists trying to get into the industry?
Um, Trust yourself. Don't stop learning because, or don't stop working also, because there is a gap in one artist's life or in every skills in every domain. I would say it's when you actually start to be in it. There is this gap. There is this step that is like a bit high, and when you actually arrive to it, you have to push. This is the moment you have to push. Really, you have to work hard and go and pass that step, because this is where a lot of people quit. Like, we work in a certain way with our brains, and sometimes the obstacles are like hard, and then if we don't really push hard, we just quit, and it's the worst moment to quit, because it's actually the step that is gonna get us better, that is gonna make us like gain a level. So yeah, I would say, like, go on, pursue your guts. Like, if you're attracted by a certain style or a certain kind of art, or like 2D art or 3D art, or like rigging, if you like rigging, or like animating bones, just go for it, because there is jobs for everyone, and like everything. And don't put aside the important fundamentals of art, like lighting, composition of the picture, because they are very important to show your work and to get you the jobs. You can have the most beautiful modeling on earth, but if you show it in a terrible way with a terrible lighting and stuff like that, you're gonna touch less people, and you're gonna touch less like professional studios trying to find someone. So that's very important. Fundamentals are always important.
Definitely is. You learn to, like, where your limit is to take breaks, but take a break, don't stop. That kind of thing of, yeah, you need to be pushing yourself to get better and better.
Yeah, I would say learn about yourself, about how you work, about the best time in the day to work on something for you. Like, for example, in the book I wrote last year, I developed a big chapter on like the energy of your body, the food you ingest, and how it plays a big role in your mental health and your energy. Because if you try to draw something difficult, like right after a huge meal where you ate a big plate of pasta or a big burger, and like you had a bit of alcohol, maybe with your friends, or I don't know, and then you're like, you try to focus and you try to do something, even like on 3D or in drawing, and then you have this resistance, like your body wants to stop, and then you start to think. It's like a a circle, you know. You start to think something like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough, and then it creates like a snowball, and that's the worst for your mental, because in the end, the only thing you have to understand is that your body is digesting, and you need to give him a bit of time before trying to focus on something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say learn a lot about yourself.
I guess to tack on another question in the end here, um, what's your opinions on the AI and AI arts and all that stuff that's coming out now with the photorealism, and they have videos now
Yeah,
even.
that's actually a good one. So yeah, like we talked, you and me before, AI is a very difficult topic, because we are in a place in history we never been before, and AI is getting so much space now. So I would actually be super excited to use it, like maybe 1 year and a half ago, when Midjourney is starting to be able to create super cinematic and realistic results. And I would be astonished. Like, I would want to create everything I have in my mind. I would feel excited for that, because I would feel like I have superpowers. But I think right now I went to saw a new truth, which is much more like what I have inside myself. And like one day I saw a post on Artstation, and the artist, which is a bit kind of well known, said, today the company I used to work with replaced me by an AI generator artist. And I was curious about that, and I started to read all the comments because it was a huge post. There was like so many reposts and so many comments, like maybe 500. And what I noticed is that there was two clans in the comments. There was the artists, and on the other side there was like people using AI. But what I noticed is like most of them are not artists, and they are just like marketer and like comes from a very like money side.
Yeah.
And the only things they were saying is like, but AI can make you gain so much time. You can do your art in 2 clicks. And none of them, like the regular artists were trying to explain them, but I do my art because I love it. It's a process. It's been like years and years of hard work to learn it, to develop myself, to learn to be precise, and to learn to do materials and everything. I love it. And the guy were always like, but you can do it faster. You can do it in 10 minutes. Why you don't use it? You can do 100 piece of art a day. And none of them was understanding that art is something human. Like we are human. We are like doing art because of the emotions we have in us, because of the artistic side of us. That's our way to express ourselves. That's our way to touch someone, to touch people. And this day, I completely switched my mind on at least picture generating AI, because I still use like ChatGPT from time to time. I think it's a great tool to help you unlock some situations. But also the picture generating AI, we have to think about the way it got so good by stealing art online for years without asking anyone. And that's, yes, I find it disgusting in the end, because it's just like stealing artists. And a regular guy that just wants a great picture to market his thing, and he just comes and he can ask, oh, I want this style from this artist, and he can just steal his style without doing anything and for free. So yeah, that's bad. I really think it's a dark time for picture generation and all this topic around that.
I think,
And there is also,
yeah,
sorry, there is also one thing, which is in the end, where are we going with that?
Yeah.
We're gonna, like, robots gonna do picture for robots? like where's the human in that?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's my point.
I more or less agree with you. Yeah, that it's going too far now. Um, it's a great tool when you're trying to come up with inspiration or references and that kind of stuff. But beyond that, it is just, it's not art. It's just a computer spitting out colors that it recognizes or shapes, and most of the time it is just taken from other artists' stuff that's been posted online, and they use that to build off of. And especially now that they're coming out with like photorealistic deep fakes of celebrities and stuff like that doing random things. Like that
I think there are gonna be
more,
bad things coming up. Yeah.
A whole bunch of privacy concerns with that. It just opens the door for misinformation and news, fake news, stuff like that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah, and now
like,
it's getting better and better every day at a terrifying pace.
like the day I'm afraid of is that half of the books in libraries and in markets are like AI generative shit. Like I already see a lot of books on Amazon, like color books. The guys just prints like 100 different pictures in line art in Midjourney, and they sell a fucking book of that. And books for kids with like story generated by ChatGPT. And like this is, it's fine in a way, but this is terrible in the end. It's like the human is like disappearing. Like this is a robot creating for human. Even if there is a human like writing the prompt, this is terrible. Like where's the art? Like the art is actually doing it yourself and being proud of it. Like how can you be proud of like something that you didn't do?
Yeah. And with like the AI written scripts, it was funny when it was 3 years ago and it was laughably bad. Like you could tell it was written by an AI, but it's at the
Yeah,
point now where you can't tell anymore that it was written by an
you
AI.
can't tell anymore.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Oh, and a sad thing also is on photography, because like this is photography is like a big part of my life, and now I see just like Instagram posting like AI photos, and you can tell the difference.
yeah,
Like you can tell if it's a word. Like yeah, like you said, 2 years ago it was funny because Midjourney was like with
yeah,
the fingers adding like 6 fingers and stuff like that, but and the eye was like a bit twitchy.
yeah,
Right now this is just like real life.
yeah,
And so yeah, but I don't know. I think we should focus on the good side of it, which is like it gonna separate the real artist and the real human, and people touching people with their emotions,
mm,
like organic things. It's gonna make two clans: the organic artist community and the rest. And I feel like it's a good thing, maybe because we can touch more, like contact more other people like us who really love art and emotions and just being human.
yeah. I guess my next question, kind of the last question here, leads into that of what do you think of all the massive layoffs that are happening in the industry right now? There's been like record number of layoffs in the last 6 months.
Uh, I think it's just an echo of what's happening in the world in many industries. It's just the huge companies, the mega companies doing like millions and millions and just wanting to do more. Like I think we need a bit of time, but it's gonna be a new era for like a small studios and actually people more human than just like stakeholders
Yeah.
and like banks asking you to do 20,000% growth every year.
The next
And
Call of Duty rinse and repeat.
yeah,
Yeah,
honestly, I don't mind anymore because it's been maybe like 6 or 7 years. I completely stopped playing the big company games like
yeah,
Ubisoft, um, all the Call of Duties and all of those huge games that sells you so many stuff. Like you cannot play without being sold like so many assets and so many
yeah,
things, and having this new season pass and everything. Like makes me want to puke all of that. Like
yeah,
you cannot just buy a game and enjoy it. Like so I stopped playing all those big companies. The last thing I was calmed was actually buying Valhalla when it went out, the Assassin's Creed,
mhm,
because I was like, oh, this is a they really I think they really tried to make a new reboot of the Assassin's Creed, making it more like before, and actually like innovating the gameplay with a new story with the Vikings and everything. And the game was so bad, like not bad, but it was, I don't know, the fighting and everything was bad. I didn't feel the whole Assassin's Creed.
mhm,
I was like, okay, this is the last time I buy a big game like that
mhm.
from those studios.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like it's gonna create a new era of like small studios. I think it's a good thing. We just need to be patient. It's like the cinema issues, in Hollywood
Yeah,
that took months and months with the riots.
the strikes and everything.
Um, yeah, I think it's gonna just be the opportunity for more like indie movies to go. Like, yeah, I think the big platforms like Disney and stuff like that are they're gonna lose people.
Yeah.
Like, of course, they will always have people to pay, but like, they already lost me. Like, I stopped my Disney thing when I saw that all the Star Wars series were so bad. I was like, why do I pay this thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I stopped. And also, I stopped when I saw they used the Midjourney for the generic of that Marvel series with Samuel Jackson, Furry.
No, the Secret Wars. Is that what it was?
I don't know. It's the one with Nick Fury. Like, I don't know the name exactly. They used the Midjourney to do the generic, and it's absolutely terrible.
Did they
And he
actually?
got
Wow.
and it looks terrible. It was even like Midjourney V4, I think,
Yeah.
with the kind of painterly effect.
Yeah.
That was so bad, and it got the flame in the socials. Like, people were criticizing Disney for that shit.
Mm.
So yeah, I think we're still not in the worst environment yet. I think it still can get better, and it's gonna separate the big industry from the people really wants to do that for passion.
Yeah. 100%. Um,
Let's let's be hopeful.
yeah, let's be optimistic about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that finishes off all of my questions that I had planned. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up or talk about?
No, that was a lot. That was good. Thanks for your amazing questions. I really hope you're gonna help some people listening to that. I really hope you're gonna go on with your channel. Um, yeah, just keep the hard work.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to see your game.
Thank you.
Like, even I really like horror movies and games, so
Mhm.
I look forward to that. And you can ask me feedback for
Of
anything.
course,
So
yeah.
I would be pleased
Of course.
to tell you what I think.
Thank you. Thank you for your input and your time today for the questions. Very
Yeah, thanks to you.
informative. Right. Well, I guess
But
that wraps everything up.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah, that's amazing. Let's keep in touch,
of course.
and we could do some work sessions in Blender or in Unreal. Like, it
Mhm.
would be fun.
Yeah, would be all right. Well, you have a good rest of your day, Xavier,
Yeah, thank
and
you.
I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Jordan. See
Thank
you,
you.
man.
Bye.
See you. Bye.